This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome to another Sports Catastrophe on the State. And on this day, December 8th, 1940, a long time ago. One of the most lopsided games in NFL history happened. As you can see, if you're watching this with the visual, you know that this is no joke. That is not a joke paper, that's a real paper. The Chicago Bears beat the Washington Redskins 73-0 in the NFL championship game. It was a huge game and all that. The Bears and Redskins were coming off of being out for 3 years from the NFL championship game. They met in the 37 title game with Washington winning in Chicago. The Bears were slight favorites. The Bears were 8-3 and won the Western Division, whereas Washington were 9-2 won the East Division. In fact, this was the first ever broadcast of radio of an NFL title game nationwide. The Mutual Broadcasting System would broadcast that game coast to coast on the radio. Now, Washington had actually beaten Chicago in a regular season game in Washington, and Washington won 7-3. Unfortunately, Washington's owner, George Preston Marshall, said that the Bears were crybabies and quitters when the going got tough. And as the Bears were ready to play Washington, Chicago head coach George Papa Bear Hollis fired up his team by showing them newspaper articles saying, "Gentlemen, this is what Marshall thinks of you. Well, I think you're a great football team. Now go out there and prove it." Meanwhile, Hollis had a plan up his sleeve. He knew Clark Shaughnessy, who was coaching Stanford to an undefeated season in college football, and to help with the Bears' game plan. Shaughnessy had several counters for linebacker shifts that he noticed the Red Sox using. So, anyway, this game wouldn't be close and all that. The game started at 1:30 at Griffith Stadium, where, the Washington Senators baseball played. But anyway, the Bears would strike first. 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. First was a Bill Osmanski 68-yard run with Jack Manders kicking the extra point. The Bears would get a touchdown run by Sid Luckman, the quarterback from Columbia. Not the country, but the school. Bob Snyder kicked the extra point to make it 14-0. Joe Manisi ran the ball for 42 yards for a touchdown, and it was 21-0 after the Phil Martinovich extra point. So, back in the 1940s, it was common for teams to run for touchdowns instead of pass for them. Despite all that, the Bears got a touchdown in the second quarter by a pass. Luckman to Ken Kavanaugh for a touchdown. Snyder extra point, 28-0 Bears at the half. Thinking, okay, well, that's not bad. Washington will score. Then the third quarter happened with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdowns by the Bears. A pick 6 by Hamp Poole, with Dick Plasman kicking the extra point. I think that they rotated guys kicking the extra point or something. I don't know why so many guys were kicking extra points. Regardless of that, in the third quarter, another touchdown happened as Ray Nolting got a 23-yard touchdown run. They went for the extra point but failed. And then George McAfee had a pick 6 off of Washington quarterback Sammy Baugh. Sammy Baugh was an icon. He was a great quarterback / punter, but he couldn't do anything with his offense. He had pick 6 to George McAfee, who's in the Hall of Fame. Joe Stidler kicked the extra point, 48-0. And then Bulldog Turner, another Hall of Famer, with a touchdown. So pick 6 by Bulldog. They missed the extra point, 54-0. So it looked good for the Bears. 54-0. Yeah, definitely Washington wasn't going to come back. Will they score points? I don't know. Fourth quarter, Harry Clark ran for a touchdown, 44 yards. They missed the extra point, 60-0. And then Gary Vemgiletti ran for a touchdown for 2 yards. Make it 66, and then they got a 1-point pass from Solly Sherman to Manisi. The reason why they did that was because so many balls were kicked into the stands. And all that after touchdowns, that officials said that Hells would have to run or pass for the point after touchdown on the last 2 touchdowns because they ran out of footballs. So, anyway. Then in Clark, Harry Clark got another touchdown run, 73-0. The funny thing was that, and then they missed the extra point. The funny thing was that of those touchdowns, they had 11 touchdowns, and only Clark got multiple touchdowns. 10 different Bears got a touchdown, which was amazing and all of that. So that was just unbelievable. What's more impressive was that Hells actually took the starters out before the fourth quarter. And the backup players continued to pile up the points, which was unbelievable. But yeah, he did. The Bears got 501 total offensive yards, 382 on the ground, and 8 interceptions off of Sammy Bell, returning 3 for pick sixes. So, anyway, Washington lost the game 73-0. Unbelievable how they could beat the Bears. But sometimes, you can't fire up the opposing team, and George Preston Marshall did so. Sammy Ball was actually questioned because Washington's Charlie Malone actually dropped a short touchdown pass in the end zone that would have tied the game at 7. They talked about it, and Ball said, sure, the final score would have been 73-7. Probably not, but, he just quipped it. And the 73 points is still the most scored by any team in an NFL game, regular season or postseason. Since 1940, only 3 teams have hit 70 points in a game. The Rams in 1951, the Redskins in 1966 against the Giants, and Miami 70 points this year in 2023 against Denver. The Dolphins actually had an opportunity to at least tie the Bears record, but they decided to take a knee and all that. In fact, the 73 points not only is the largest margin of victory in an NFL game, it's the largest margin of victory in a Big Four sports game. Hockey, obviously, you don't see many games end up being a double-digit victory. In baseball, it's possible, but it's hard to win by more than 10 sometimes. But basketball would be the closest chance, but it did. Because Memphis beat Oklahoma City by 73 points to tie that record. So yeah, that's what happens and all that. And a lot of people said that it was one of the 10 games that mattered because the Bears played perfect football. And they went with the pro football, the T formation, with like the offensive line and the receivers and all that. Were the sports news of the year. 11 touchdown pile. So Sid Luckman was 3 for 4 for a touchdown, 88 yards. Bob Snyder was 3 for 3 for 31 yards. Rushing, Osmanski had 109 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Harry Clark, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mancini, 2 touchdowns. Well, I think he had a touchdown and a catch. Ray Noting, 68 yards and a touchdown. But the big story was that Sammy Ball was 10 for 17, 102 yards and 2 interceptions. But then they took him out and put Frankie Filchuk in, who was 7 for 23, 87 yards, and got picked off 5 times. So you know something was fishy. But yeah, that was just weird how, Washington just got their butts handed to them 73 to nothing. It's a game you'll never forget. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.